If you love action and science fiction, then Predator: Badlands is the movie for you. But before the movie comes out, you have to be completely caught up with the Predator history, no? I mean, we have so much to cover. From Arnold covered in mud to Naru's Comanche showdown, this franchise has given us so many things. Everywhere humans can scream loud enough, there are alien hunters ready to rip their spines out. So for all you Predator lovers, new and old, this is the one recap you'll need to watch before Predator: Badlands hits theaters near you. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Recap of the Predator movies. So now it's time to marathon the whole thing. Let's see what adventures the Predators have had on our planet until now. Predator 1987. Dutch versus the Jungle Hunter. So the entire saga starts in the 80s. This was the era where live-action heroes were muscular and had to say cringy one-liners like their lives depended on it. If you weren't completely muscled out and saying one-liners, you were definitely not an action hero. But when you see Major Alan Dutch Schaefer show up on screen, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak physique, you know things are about to get rather explosion-heavy. So he was sent on a rescue mission in the jungle. However, guess what? He ended up becoming the one who needed rescue. Dutch and his squad rolled in the most testosterone-heavy way possible. These guys are flexing in every scene. After they mowed down a guerrilla camp in the most 80s action way possible, they realized that something was just not right. There was something off about everything happening around them, and it was then that they realized their real opponent was not human at all. There was something invisible stalking them, skinning them, and then hanging them up in the branches like grotesque Christmas decorations. The crew gets taken one by the Predator. Bad jokes, explosions, Gatling gun, they have it all, but none of it works. Soon enough, Dutch realizes that this thing, whatever it may be, was a professional hunter with a code. It didn't kill anyone as long as they were unarmed. But if you are armed, you're toast before you can even put it down. So Dutch has to think his way out of this mess. Just using muscles would not do the trick because this creature can match him pound for pound, inch for inch. So finally, Arnold comes up with an ingenious idea. He covers himself in mud like he's about to have a wrestling match in a swamp, sets booby traps all around him, and turns the jungle into a trap-heavy death maze. Think the adult version of Home Alone, where people definitely die after getting hit on their head that many times. Predator and Dutch go full primal on their finale. They exchange punches, kicks, and roll around in the dirt, and after one final, "You're one ugly mother" moment, we see Dutch coming out of the whole thing alive. The Predator blows himself up in a nuclear level of rage quit, which was definitely dramatic. But in the end, we finally understand the one key tip of survival: when hunted by the Predator, be Arnold. Predator 2, 1990. Los Angeles, Harrigan, and the Urban Hunt. The next time we see the Predator, he's in the city of Los Angeles in 1997. Heat waves and gangs run the streets of Los Angeles, and even though this is so different from the previous jungle setting we got, I won't lie, I can totally see why the writers chose this place to be the hunting grounds this time around. Then enters Lieutenant Mike Harrigan, played by none other than Danny Glover. He spends most of the movie rather sweaty and furious, but I can't say I blame him. I would be too. Soon enough, bodies start to pile up, and Harrigan is the first to notice that the dead bodies are not a result of the typical gang violence they've seen until now. The bodies are mutilated and strung up like piñatas after being skinned. So obviously, someone is really having the worst birthday party ever, or we're dealing with predators. And that's exactly what Harrigan realizes. So now we have Predator 2: Cityscape Boogaloo. As surprising or unsurprising as it may be, the Predator adapts to the cityscape in no time. It uses the rooftops and the subways to scope out everything around it and starts clearing out all the drug lords from the streets of Los Angeles, like it's his personal job. On the other hand, we have Peter Keyes, the government agent played by Gary Busey, and his secret team doing their very best to track the alien down. And then they come up with the brilliant plan. They use themselves as bait to get the alien to show up. And guess what? The alien shows up all right, but Predator slices through them like a hot knife through butter. Eventually, the last man standing is Harrigan. They confront each other in an epic showdown where we see them crash through apartments and subways and eventually end up in the Predator's hidden ship. This is where we get the trophy wall. The skulls that Predators have collected are hanging around, including the very familiar-looking xenomorph skull. I know it doesn't sound that cool, but when it came out back in the day, this was the coolest movie moment ever because this made Alien vs. Predator canon. In the end, Harrigan manages to kill the Predator with its own weapon. Right after that, a bunch of Predators show up. But instead of killing Harrigan, they respect his efforts and hand him this flintlock pistol from 1715 as a trophy. So from this film, we get the second lesson about dealing with Predators. They've been around for a long time, and if you fight dirty and survive, they will actually respect you for it.
Oh shit.
Predators 2010. The game-preserved planet and group survival. We fast forward 20 years, and then we get this movie. We start off straight away with the dawning realization that we are not in Kansas anymore. As a matter of fact, we're not even on Earth anymore. We're in this alien jungle, and our hero is trapped there with a bunch of dangerous humans. Soldiers, mercenaries, Yakuza assassins, you name it, they have it. The vibe of the whole movie is, what if we take all the deadliest people on Earth and then put them on this planet where they have to survive the Predators? The planet that they land on is like a Predator game reserve. It's like Jurassic Park, but the dinosaurs have laser guns. The Predators hunt them for sport, unleash alien hounds, and set traps. And as a bonus, we also get to meet rival factions of Predators here to make things harder for everyone. We have the smaller classic ones, and then we have the bigger and badder breed known as the Super Predators, because even Predators have bullies. The humans band together, bicker, and eventually die in glorious and gory ways. The highlight of this movie has to be when we see Yakuza and the Predator having a samurai sword duel. I didn't even know I wanted something like this until I saw it, and somehow it was everything I ever wanted and more. And this was also the moment where we learned that Topher Grace is actually a serial killer, because, of course he is. But in the end, the survivors go down the Dutch path. No, not the Dutch country. I mean Dutch as in Arnold. They improvise traps and survive everything thrown their way through sheer grit. Royce, played by Adrian Brody, who's doing his damnedest to do the gravel voice of Batman, somehow manages to outthink the Super Predator, proving that brains can beat brawn, especially when you have a giant machete on hand. This is where we get valuable lesson number 3. Predators hunt everywhere and everyone. They do not discriminate. The Predator 2018. Upgraded Predator and hybrid plot. Now we're getting closer to the end of the saga. We're at the Predator, aka the one that went off the rails. The story is simple. We have a Predator ship that crash-landed on Earth during a military op. Quinn McKenna, who's our main guy, manages to get his hands on some Predator gear, and instead of thinking about it at all, he mails it to his kid. Because, you know, who else can you trust with alien gear other than your child? As expected, the government nabs Quinn and throws him in a bus full of misfit soldiers. In the meantime, Roy ends up activating the alien gear without any issue because he's a genius. Turns out the Predator who crash-landed on Earth, he is here to help humans, because there are bigger and worse aliens on their way to Earth, and they've started gene-splicing DNA from other species to create upgraded and more dangerous versions. So chaos understandably ensues almost immediately. The scientists want the tech while the upgraded Predator lands on Earth, ready for a boss fight, and bodies start dropping everywhere like flies. The movie's tone at this point has switched so many times that it doesn't make sense anymore. In the end, somehow, Quinn and his ragtag team of misfits manage to take down the big bad alien using the power of friendship, firepower, and of course, some human ingenuity. They also found a Predator killer suit left by the first Predator, which is like this bootleg Iron Man armor for fighting Predators. So, lesson number 4. When you reach the 4th movie of your franchise, you'll end up with a Predator wearing Predator armor, fighting other Predators. We don't know who else should fight the Predator. Prey 2022. Comanche warrior Naru versus early Predator. Well, turns out, just 4 years later, Hollywood execs would figure out who should fight the Predator and gave us one of the best Predator films since the original, and arguably the smartest move the franchise ever made. Instead of going bigger and messier, Prey strips it all down to the basics. We go back to 1719 on the Great Plains, where we have Naru, a young Comanche woman who has dreams of proving herself as a hunter. Her tribe doesn't take her seriously because she's a woman. But then, something strange starts stalking the land, and she realizes that this is not a mountain lion or a bear. It's actually an early predator. It's less advanced than what we're used to seeing, but it still has significantly advanced weapons, cloaking, and of course, a bad attitude. The movie escalates slowly, hiking up the tension one notch at a time. We see Naru secretly observing and studying the predator while she adapts to the fighting style. She notices from all her peers' failures that the predator, too, has his weak spots that can be exploited. The film highlights her survival, wit, and strategy over the brute force, and eventually we get the most satisfying showdown of the entire series. Naru proves herself and slays the predator and returns to her people with undeniable respect, giving us the last lesson. Predators have been coming for ages, and humanity has been fighting against them for decades, before Quinn, Dutch, or Harrigan even picked up a gun. Predator Badlands, a bold new chapter in the hunt. So now we come to the most recent installment of the franchise. In this movie, the franchise takes a brilliant and daring turn. Until now, the Predator was the antagonist. But this time, he is the protagonist of the movie. He's the one you're going to root for. The story follows Dek, our main Yautja outcast, who is kind of like the runt of his clan. He was deemed too weak or too small by his clan members, and he was stripped of status. So, to prove himself, he goes out hunting for the ultimate adversary. On his way, he ends up meeting Thea, a synthetic android from Weyland-Yutani Corporation who's played by the lovely Elle Fanning. Now, keep in mind that this film is not set on Earth. It's actually set on a remote alien world, which is called Kalisk in some of the earlier reports that came out about the movie. This is considered the Predator's home turf, and Dek's journey is not just about killing prey. He has to survive the hostile terrain, fight with more powerful predators, and somehow earn respect from society, which has already dismissed him. So as Dek and Thea trek through the lethal landscape, they both have to face internal and external conflicts. Dek has to deal with his shame and pride, while Thea has to consider if she's useful and trusted by the much more powerful Yautja, or if he's just waiting for the right moment to destroy her. And of course, the question of whether a Yautja and a human-designed android can really trust each other comes up eventually, which has to be the most interesting concept to date in the franchise. From what I've seen, it seems like there's a twin dynamic among the Yautja and android characters, so the loyalties and duplicates are much more interesting. Another key aspect of Predator Badlands that I have to mention is how there are no humans in this film, at least in the central roles. So in that way, Badlands is more alien than all the movies we've seen so far. This film completely shifts the usual formula of a Predator movie on its head, because this time we have a predator who's being hunted and forced into survival mode. Director Dan Trachtenberg has also teased that there will be an especially brutal scene that will possibly be the most violent scene in the franchise to date. Both Trachtenberg and co-writer Patrick Eisen leaned into the world building for the predator species. For example, in Badlands, the Yautja culture, the language, and of course the societal structures are the main meat and potatoes of the film. They are the terrain that Dek has to navigate, giving us a close look at the interesting social dynamic. In fact, for authenticity, a constructed Yautja language has been created in the vein of Dothraki and Elvish, so that there is consistency in the Predator society. The film also shows us Weyland-Yutani as a narrative presence, hammering home the message that there may be deeper connections between the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise than we think. The visual and thematic inspirations of the film are also telling. The director took influences from Westerns, Mad Max 2, Frank Frazetta, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Book of Eli, to name a few. So from all of this, we know that Badlands would be more mythic and harsh than the usual jungle hullabaloo that we're used to. This will be the movie that will change our perspective of the Predator. Now, after hearing all of this, I know what you're probably thinking. How will Badlands affect the Predator franchise as a whole? Well, that's the most interesting part of it all. This movie is more than just a directional gamble. For years and years, Predator films have had the same premise. You have humans encountering the hunters, finding out about their codes, weapons, fighting styles, etc., and eventually fighting back. And eventually, the humans survive by being cunning. They have always been the emotional and narrative anchors. But Badlands does it all differently. By putting Deck as the central character, Badlands immediately reshapes the way we look at the character. Instead of fearing the hunter, we're walking in his shoes. We see his society, hierarchy, doubts, insecurities, and struggles in a fresh light. Instantly, the hunter is no longer as scary. We see him scared, reflect, and even hesitate. This completely changes the emotional stakes of the movie. While the previous installments gave us details about the Yautja culture, Badlands takes it to the next level. We get to see a proper Yautja language, social outcasting, clan politics, and mediated alliances. These are well-thought decisions that flesh out the clan for us and elevate the entire predator species from brutal kills to a living civilization. Also, with barely any humans present, we get to experience new conflicts in the predator world for the first time. We have predator versus predator, predator versus nature, and of course, predator versus synthetic life. The narrative tension is now directed more inwards. And this movie also feels a lot freer because it does not rely on humans discovering predators for the first time anymore. By exploring the world from this angle, from a commercial standpoint, Badlands also opens the gateways to new genres within the Predator world. Now we can see more aspects of Predator. Imagine a Predator movie, but it plays out like a space opera or like a political drama instead. Also, with the little Weyland-Yutani tease in this film, there is a high chance that we will end up with more Alien vs. Predator films focused on expanding those. But as cool as this pivot may be, it is not without any risks. Devoted fans of the franchise might feel like it's too alien for their taste. Maybe by making the Predator too relatable, he will lose his menace. So, in a way, if this movie fails commercially, it won't just be a commercial flop, it will also turn the menacing character into something of a spectacle which we want to avoid as much as possible. From what we can see in the early news articles and insider notes, this movie has commitment. So maybe this movie just might be the redirection the franchise needed. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. The story of Predator has always been about survival against impossible odds. Predators may have lasers, cloaks, and too many teeth, but humanity will always bring creativity, persistence, and a little bit of crazy. Something predators never expect. Predator Badlands will take that clash to a whole new level. And one thing we know for sure is that this new round will be bloody, brutal, and absolutely worth watching. Let us know in the comments what you guys are thinking about Predator Badlands and if you're gonna watch it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.